That is a compelling synthesis of two of the most influential texts in American transcendentalism. You are identifying a direct bridge between Emerson's man thinking and Thoreau's man doing. By examining the economy chapter of Walden through the lens of Emerson's The American Scholar, we can see how Thoreau transforms an abstract intellectual ideal into a physical, lived reality. 1. The rejection of subdivision. Emerson's primary critique in The American Scholar is that society has been parceled out into households, each of which is fractioned into 100 operations. He argues that the individual has become a tame, or even a rotten, part of the machine, a mere nose or a shoulder, rather than a whole man. Thoreau's cabin as resistance. In Economy, Thoreau's decision to cut his own timber, dig his own cellar, and frame his own house is a direct refusal to be fractioned. Total autonomy. By bypassing the division of labor, he avoids becoming a specialized cog. He is the architect, the mason, the carpenter, and the laborer simultaneously. He proves that a scholar must not only think but must also be able to sustain his own existence without being dependent on a system that fragments his soul. 2. Man thinking versus the bookworm. Emerson warns that the book-learned class, who value books as such, are just as much victims of the division of labor as the farmer. He argues that the true scholar should use books for inspiration but must return to nature and his own intuition. Original thought. Thoreau embodies this by prioritizing the hard edges of reality over library research. In Economy, he doesn't just read about the cost of living, he calculates it down to the halfpenny. Self-reliance. His thinking for himself isn't just philosophical, it's practical. He questions the necessity of traditional housing and clothing, concluding that most modern improvements are merely improved means to an unimproved end. 3. The scholar as a whole man. Thoreau arguably takes Emerson's theory and gives it hands and feet. While Emerson spoke from the podium about the need for the American scholar to be independent of European tradition and social pressures, Thoreau moved to the woods to prove it was possible. Emerson's ideal, the American scholar, Thoreau's action, Walden, nature as the first influence. Living at the pond to front only the essential facts of life. Action is subordinate to thought, but essential. The physical labor of building the cabin and hoeing beans. Self-trust over social conformity. Disregarding the town's opinions on his poverty and laziness. A points of nuance. While Thoreau is the embodiment of these ideals, he adds a layer of asceticism that Emerson didn't necessarily demand. Emerson wanted the scholar to be in the world but not of it. Thoreau felt that to truly think for oneself, one had to physically withdraw from the desperation of the village. In this sense, Thoreau isn't just a student of Emerson's essay, he is the empirical proof of it. He demonstrates that the man thinking is most powerful when he is also man building and man living. Would you like to look at how Thoreau's view of business in Walden specifically mirrors Emerson's warnings about the public mind?